Hello, hello, Greg Rucka.
Hello, Mimi. How are you?
I am very well now that you're here.
Oh, right. I'm going to be the thing that improves the morning where you are. You're in afternoon. I assume you were teaching.
I am in afternoon. No, Thursdays I don't teach. I'm doing running around stuff. And of
Oh,
course, been working heavily on this bill. So
yes.
that has been extraordinarily time consuming, more than
A
I
lot of
ever
running.
thought it would be. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a lot. It's
Yeah.
a lot. But it's exciting, and
Good.
it's making progress. So we're recording now, December 2nd. This will air in a few weeks, but I have a big event on Saturday, and it's our day of action. So we're doing an
Right.
education and advocacy event. So
Yeah, I
it's
think
like
I saw an email about that.
yeah, so it's like a big kickoff, and we're just like really trying to get the community engaged, but also just kind of share more and help people reach out to their legislators and know what to do. And yeah, so it should be a lot of fun. There's free food, so that's always a thing. Hopefully people will show up just for that.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
Very good.
but when you plan events and stuff, no matter what, how big or small, it's very time consuming. So, and I'm hosting it at the temple because it's outdoors,
Right.
open
And
air.
you have the space.
Masks are mandatory for my events, that kind of thing, even though we're in Florida.
Not going there. Not going there.
It's been quite a learning curve, this whole how a bill becomes a law and the hoops that you jump through. And then there was one thing that was super inspiring. So I think you would like to hear something inspiring for a change as we talk about news. Well, it's interesting because we all think we don't make a difference. People get really grumpy about voting and what matters and what doesn't matter. And, regardless of what happens with the bill, like my understanding is it could take 1 year, it could take 5 years. And even if it doesn't go through the first time, it's not a failure, right? It's just part of the process. And people just don't think making that call makes an impact. And I have a 15-year-old, and I'll give him a little shout out, Colin, who is a volunteer for Make Us Visible. And he told me, hey, I called my senator today and I let them know what I wanted to do. And then a few weeks later, I saw that he had co-sponsored. And when I heard from the senator that sponsored the bill, she told us that basically that senator went up to her and said, oh, I didn't even know this bill was here, but I heard from one of my constituents, and that was Colin. And I co-sponsored based on that call, that one phone call from a 15-year-old. Made impact, and he's a co-sponsor now. So I mean, this is like inspiring, right? And so I was like, oh,
it's the I've been rewatching some episodes of The West Wing, and there's a line Greg has, and he actually, it's actually echoed in his first 2 appearances on the show, but he talks about how you don't take a bow. The FBI doesn't take a bow. They don't, we don't, as he puts it, we don't publicize our successes, right? And there is a larger truth in that, right? Which is that we see the failings and we see the no's, right? The politicians who constituents are screaming at from, and never mind constituents, citizens from across the country who are emailing and calling the office and so on. And they won't budge. They don't move. And what that does is reinforce this sense that your voice has no value. You are not heard. And the great thing about what you're saying is that, look, here's the evidence that one voice makes all the difference. But we don't tend to hear about the one voice that made all the difference.
Right.
And especially when we live now in a society, in a world which equates the volume of your voice with the $ you can attach to it. And we know, if not as an intellectual truth, as an emotional truth, that we just are not the people who are generally listened to on the basis of money. Right.
Yeah.
So no, that's really great. I mean, it does strike me as the worst thing, you know, and the hardest thing about trying to getting through the hard times and getting through setbacks and these moments is the misconception that we are alone. And it becomes very hard to remember there are other people who are speaking up when they're not getting the attention and the coverage. So,
yeah, that's the unfortunate part, right? That we are just being inundated with mostly negative news cycle stories and all of that, and we don't get to
because
hear
it's
this,
what
right?
sells, right?
Yes, and it's the small wins, and that's why I'm so happy to be able to share that, because I'm just thinking it's so hard to get teenagers engaged in many things, anything, and stick to something, but also the fact that, you know, he volunteers his time, but and then it's made a difference, and you can see that direct impact. Like, he can look at that name on the co-sponsor on this bill and say, like, I made that phone call.
Well, and that's got to be inspiring for Colin, right? Because now Colin gets to carry that forward and go like, okay, so it actually mattered.
It does matter. Yeah.
And now I can go forward and I can tell other people, no, it's hi, I'm the proof right here. It matters.
Yeah. I was so inspired by that. And there are days, I'm not gonna lie, and my audience knows I can get pretty grumpy, but I'm just like, you know what? This bill's not gonna pass anyway. I'm done. I can't spend all the hours I'm spending. I've had to reach across the aisle, and it's been challenging, and I know that it's for the good of the bill. This is a nonpartisan bill, so I need to make sure that we get support. We're in Florida, right? And it's been really, really hard. And I've had some really tough conversations. But that story, like him sharing, and then her, you know, Senator Stewart letting us know.
Marlo coming through loud and clear on the audio there?
I don't hear Marlo, actually.
I'm just checking, because boy, is she going off right now.
Oh, really? For listeners that don't already know, Marlo is my dear friend that I interviewed when I was in Portland, and she is Greg's puppy.
She ain't a puppy anymore.
No, not a puppy, but
65 pounds of puppy.
Well, what it is she's like, hey, you haven't talked to Mimi in a while, and I can sense her, so let me say hi.
That's exactly it. She can hear you.
Yes, so. we're old friends. So I know it actually has been. We were kind of going, like, you know, every couple weeks for a while, and then you traveled. You went to New York. How was that? I saw your feet on the carpet again.
It was good. Yeah. It was there's going to be another carpet shot coming up soon. I've got a trip. We will see if I have a trip. Right now, I am not certain if it's gonna happen because of Omicron. But yeah, so yeah, you may get another shot this time next week, in fact.
Okay. Okay. Speaking of which, you've been very active on social media.
No, I have been active on Instagram.
Right. The one social media that you will,
the only place I will, the only place I will engage, or at least will engage right now. I mean, we reopened a bunch of the bonfire campaigns, and the first cycle of them ended. This is a website called bonfire.com, and we have a shop there called Nervous Habit Threads, and we've got apparel, and now they do mugs too. So we've got apparel and mugs for Lazarus and the Old Guard, and almost all of it is fundraising for nonprofits. So the first series of campaigns sort of ended, and now they're still rolling, so people can go and get stuff. And I realized I'm not very good at it. Like, there are certain ones that I do, and I don't do enough styles, or I do the wrong styles, and then I don't realize afterwards. It's like, oh, this is why this isn't selling. There are only 3 styles, you know, and only one of these is unisex or whatnot, something like that. But that said, I think we raised I want to say over $1,200, which, you know, that's a lot, all things being equal, for the Trevor Project, ProPublica, for the SPLC, for the ACLU, for the National Center for Transgender Equality. And then you get the where, you know, Michael Lark art or Leandro Fernandez art, and you can be like really old school, old guard fans, like, no, this is how it started, bragging rights. And then, you know, Troutman comes in and he does his design work. So I am painfully aware that a lot of the artifact stuff we put up appeals to maybe 5% of the total fan base. I love the artifacts. I love things that look like they dropped out of the world through a dimensional rift into ours. So, you know, the Dagger Unit shirt, or the Carsock Security at Sequoia shirt, or the ProPublica one was for CTV. It was his, you know, Carlisle propaganda television.
Yes.
And we did one for the old guard that was Merrick Pharmaceutical too. So yeah, it's fun. It's good.
It is definitely fun. How long will that run for?
It's still running now. They're just rolling. So you could, you know, somebody could be listening to this in 2024, and in theory they'll still be up.
Okay, great. That's what I want to know, because I definitely I saw that, like, of course, you know me, I would just want my forever shirts and I want my Lazarus gear. And so
I've got to put up, we had a request to put up the Families Belong Together Forever and 8 artwork, and I hadn't done that style, but now I'm gonna put that one up as well, so that'll be there. But yeah, I mean, look, every bit helps. And I mean, I like money, and I like making money, and, you know, that's the nature of commerce. But I really am very proud of, you know, my collaborators on these things, that they are willing to put their work out there, and that money is not going to us. That money is going for causes we believe in.
Yes.
Which I suppose, you know, puts, you know, could conceivably put fans in a place that, you know, well, I'm not going to buy it because I don't believe in it, but, you know, I'm willing to take that risk, obviously.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good. Based on the Discord discussions and based on your true fan base that would be buying gear anyway. But yeah, I was really excited because I think my shirt needed like a few more. And so I posted it. I'm like, hey, everyone, I need this shirt. So let's make this happen. I'm not buying 4 of them. And then it was like 2 hours later, it was done. I'd like to think I sold one of those shirts. But
I would not be surprised, you know, and again, it's one of those things where I'm pretty sure it's the tug with social media, right? I'm pretty sure that if I was on Twitter, we probably would have moved more.
Yeah.
But if we were on Twitter, I'm sure I would have had a whole lot of people telling me exactly why they weren't going to buy the shirt.
Exactly.
And I don't need that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And even it happened on Instagram. You know, and this is the thing, and I admit, you know, I'm sensitive to this, but I literally, you know, I woke up on my birthday and saw that I had been tagged in something where the person was literally saying, oh yeah, this sucks. It's like, you didn't need to tag me. You took the time to hunt down my Instagram tag to make sure I would be notified.
Yeah.
That's shitty behavior.
It really is. It really is.
That's shitty behavior. That is literally like, you don't have to like my stuff. I've never said you have to like my stuff.
Right.
But you don't have the right to get in my face. I didn't hurt you. I didn't do anything to you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, so
But how was your birthday otherwise?
Oh no, it was a great
of fun
birthday.
wishes.
Aside
It
from
looked like
that,
you
it
got
was
some fun
lovely.
things.
I went out. I bought a new pair of jeans. I
Oh yeah.
picked up a book, a Stephen Crane book.
Yeah.
What else did I do? Oh yeah, and I did Hanukkah shopping for other people.
Oh, okay.
So, but no, actually, I had a great birthday, which for me is very rare. So yeah, it was a really good day. It was a nice day.
Very
Not a
nice.
not a bad turned 52.
Look
So,
at you.
Yeah, look at me.
I forget every year as it comes around that you and Matt are so close together in
Yeah.
birthdays. I'm like, oh my
Matt's
God.
was yesterday.
Yesterday was Matt Fraction's birthday.
So is David Walker's.
Oh, really?
Yeah. David Walker's is also December 1st.
Oh,
so
I'm gonna have to send him a belated.
Yeah, there are a whole bunch of us who come crashing in at the end of November, beginning
My
of
gosh,
December.
and all in Portland too, I'm sure. You should just have like a huge bash.
Yeah.
One day.
So no, it was good. It was nice.
Nice. Very, very nice. Well, that's good.
And also I had finished the present you sent me like a week and a half before, by the way.
Okay, good. Very good. Which, as our listeners are always anxious to know about Greg's snacking habits.
Yeah. Mimi sent me heroin. No. Mimi and Oscar, as I understood it, made me beef jerky, and it was really good.
No, thank you.
Like really good jerky. Also, Marlo got like a whiff of that early on, and she was like, you could share that. You could share that. Every time I was opening that bag, she would hear it and be like, and
you see, well, that's why she was barking earlier.
Yeah. And I mean, and sits there like, this isn't the jumping up and down, happy tail wiggle. This is like, I am, look at how good I am.
Me, I'm so well behaved.
I am.
Don't I
Exactly.
deserve a treat?
I have excellent manners, and it's like, no, you don't. So
you're not fooling anyone.
Exactly. Well,
actually, I'm so glad you like it. So now that I know
she fools me all the time. So yeah, no, it was
fantastic.
Chef's kiss.
Thank you. And I am very like particular. It's like only the best ingredients go into these things. It's all like from every aspect of it. So
you know that I have no idea how many minutes in we are now, and like everybody who's listening is going to be like, Mimi has been having these fantastic, in-depth, very serious conversations with all these fascinating people, and then she and Rucka are talking about beef jerky.
They love the beef jerky discussion. Yeah. I'm like, yes. Well, it's kind of different though. Like with you and I, like I said, we're 43 plus or whatever in. I'm gonna get the exact calculation. We're so
out of we're out of things to talk about now. We just talk about the same things.
No, that is not true. It's just it happened to come up. The beef jerky happened to come up because I sent it to you. But yes. But I am glad that you enjoyed listening to your pals, Matt Fraction. And
I thought you are on a streak right now of just great interviews. Though I have to tell you that there is sort of a drinking game in listening to the Brubaker one, where it's like, oh, Ed, I love him to death, but it's like, how many people can he mention in the course of this podcast? It's like, come on, Ed, relax. It's okay.
I was like, wow, he knows a lot of people.
Yeah, he does.
And then off air, there was a lot more people too.
Yes, I know.
I was actually pleasantly surprised at how like chatty he was, because whenever I interview someone for the first time, I never know like do I need to get them warmed up, or do I need to like have like an opener, or like but it always helps because I always have an introduction from someone like you or Matt or someone that
I'll tell you an Ed story. I'll tell you an Ed story. And Ed is like the Ed you had on the interview, that's Ed. He is remarkably affable, and he's remarkably gracious, and that's just, never mind the talent. That's just like Ed, right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So when we were working on Gotham Central, especially when we were doing issues that were two-handers, we would have these phone calls. Normally it would initiate with a call with the editor. So we would have a conference call, and it would be like, okay, we're going to do issues like 10 to 15 or 10 to 14. It's going to be a red ball. We'll do everybody together and we'll divvy up the shifts. And this is what we're thinking. And I'll be like, okay. And then Ed and I would schedule a call, and the purpose of the call would be to break down each issue and divvy up the pages. So each of us had 11 pages. So we knew our scenes, and then we would write them and send them to each other and glue it all together. And Ed and I could normally break the story and do the divvy within 20 minutes. Like literally took us 20 minutes because we were, I have rarely had a more seamless collaboration in comics than working with Ed. Wow. So we'd be done with the actual work in 20 minutes, but I'd be on the phone for another 90 because we'd be talking about all these other things.
Yes.
And it was, so literally it was like, if it was a Gotham Central call day, I knew I had to clear 3 hours for the call.
Yeah. I wish you had told me that, because it was a very similar experience. And I was like, well, I'm not hanging up on Ed Brubaker. Like, he wants to hang out and talk, so I'm going to hang out and talk.
No, and I say even then, but I say it now, this wasn't a problem. It was just something that you learned
right
about
yeah,
Ed.
Because we're just going to get into this. We're going to start talking with it about this and that. And
it's like, when you're talking to Fraction, there are going to be film references.
Yes, I was.
These are just things that are going to happen in the conversation. And if you're talking to Bendis, Kirby will undoubtedly come up. There are certain things. And I suppose when you're talking to me, jerky or, vibrating rage or how much I hate social media, something, there are tropes that are going to be hit. So there you go.
Yeah, I was really funny because actually that day Oscar had to leave me here because he had an appointment. I was like, I'm still talking to Ed Brubaker. We're just not gonna hang up. So I guess I'll see you there at the school. I didn't expect him to just be so warm and open, and it was awesome. And yes, like you said, talent aside, but yeah, he had a lot of opinions about the TV shows, and he's super passionate. And so that was a lot of fun, actually.
I disagree with him about his assessment on the second season of Ted Lasso.
I know. I was kind of crushed a little bit. I was like, oh.
I totally get where he's coming from. Absolutely. Like I say, totally respect that. Disagree.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a taste thing. I mean, I do think I loved the magic of the first in this way, because it's the first, right? And so you don't have an expectation, but then I still love it. I love the Christmas episode.
you come into the second with that expectation from the first, and they proceeded to immediately go, oh no, which kind of makes me wonder how they're going to beat us up in the third.
Oh my gosh.
But we have time.
I know. But it was that everybody's been loving that only murders in the bill. Everybody has this love for it. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, it was funny. And I love that you've been listening to those.
Of course.
It makes me so happy.
I listen to the show.
I know, but still,
I listen to the show.
I know you walk and you're busy and stuff too, but
that's
you have a lot to listen to. So I appreciate
you accompany me. I listen to your podcasts with everybody but me. I know what I sound like. So, but you keep me company on my walks.
Yay, that makes sense. So occasionally I'm just gonna be like, hey Greg, while you're walking. I'll give you a shout out, especially if I'm talking to someone like Fraction. I mean, we could probably just start talking to you at that point. Yeah, with Matt, I get my Matt's very cerebral, so I gotta be ready for Matt. But he's so easyggoing at the same time. I'm so happy for him with all the work he's doing, and it's got to be.
I don't know if they announced. I don't know if they announced the project.
No, but, not yet. I don't believe yet. So
it is. Well, and I mean, that family's like batting 1,000 right now. Historia dropped yesterday.
Yes, I saw it, and I was like, I need that yesterday. I need that now.
Well,
so.
I know a bit about how hard Kelly Sue has been working on that for how long. So I am honestly experiencing a weird I am so delighted and so blown away and so jealous on some level. And it's weird too, because and I think this is sort of where I am right now, sort of emotionally and mentally. She says, I've been doing all this work, but there's no product out there. And so much of what defines you in entertainment is your visibility.
Right.
And your visibility is primarily your work. So if you're not putting work out, you definitionally are invisible. Which leads to this very weird sort of, if you're not careful, that can start eating your mental headspace. It can affect your health.
Right.
It can make you really down on yourself, that I'm not out there, I'm not putting things out there, I'm not, because, and that goes into a different feedback loop, and that goes to social media, right? I'm not putting anything out there, people are not talking about it. What if what they are talking about it is not positive, and so on. My jealousy, and I am sincere when I say this, my jealousy is in Kelly Sue, like, because I know where the idea came from.
Okay.
And seeing her execution of it, with a character in a mythology that I love so deeply. There's a piece of me that's like, oh, I miss playing in those sandboxes.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But it is the same problem as, why would I work for a company that does not appreciate or value me, and that has exploited me as viciously as they have for as long as they have? It doesn't make sense. It's this weird internal tension I'm having right now.
Yeah, it's a conundrum. You're like,
well, and part of the delight, right? Part of the joy in working for a Marvel or a DC or a Lucasfilm, right, is you are getting to play with these things that are loved and reach such a big audience, that even if you do not get a lot of recognition from it yourself, you are recognized as a part of it. And I recognize, saying that, I'm a guy who wrote a movie that some 77 million
I was gonna say
households watched, right?
Right.
But that's what I did last year, right? So what are you doing today? And that's one of the creative demons, right? It's one of the things that chases you, I think, when you're trying to, they say, if you on some level, like it or not, your self-worth becomes defined by the stuff you're putting out there, how much you're putting out there, how rapidly it's out there, the quality of it, and the reception of it. And I mean, it's one of those internal things that I think we struggle with. Just creative. When I say we, I mean creatives struggle with.
Right. I agree. And I think it's even beyond creatives. I think that's just like kind of human nature, like the ability to enjoy, like, okay, I did this project and it was amazing. But like you said, that was last year. Cause I'm the same way, like literally just like yesterday, I told Oscar, oh, because my birthday's in January. I'll be another year older. I feel like I haven't accomplished anything at my age. And he's just like ready to.
Yeah, he's just like over here pointing at the house bill. Yeah. Right? Right. Yeah, you didn't do anything this year.
But he's just like, come on. I'm like, well, did you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm
well,
like,
and that's the thing,
right?
Right
Now, I don't have a film. Right now, I didn't do this. The bill hasn't passed or whatever it is. And I think it's very similar. But for you, must really be that way, because I watched her unboxing video of that beautiful. I mean, it's just like you said,
it's
just
gorgeous.
Physically gorgeous. Obviously, content wise, it's incredible. But like, I think for you, especially because you usually have a physical product, right? It's
Mhm.
something you can touch and feel. And it's like, here's another one. And then you're in this world where you do issues. And when you were working for a DC or a Marvel, you had to have them so
Yeah,
consequently, like, so, sequentially that it was like constantly coming out. And
yeah,
we're used to
and
seeing that and then
and
getting
it was a
reception and
feedback
it's a
loop. Yeah,
feedback loop, right?
it
And
was
now it's like, well,
always there. Yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
yeah.
I feel that. But it is, I mean, it's just a mental thing though, because people are still reading the old guard anthologies and Lazarus and things that you're involved in, and still picking
Mhm.
up even Gotham Central and Wonder Woman, right? And so
Mhm.
it's not like it's not still there. All your stuff's in perpetuity, but you're not
Well,
unboxing.
for a
And I get it.
time,
We
yeah.
want to unbox.
That's never been something that I've done, I suppose. And it's funny because going back to Instagram now and watching certain feeds, I'm like, should I be sort of adopting some of these habits? There's
Yeah.
also for me the people who are most successful, and I mean in my industry, I guess, right? The
Hmm.
people who use social media the most successfully are the ones who figured out how to use it as an extension of marketing themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have never, ever, ever, ever been comfortable doing that. It is, and I know patently this isn't true. I have been now regularly published for some 28 years. And still on some level believe that the quality of the work is its own promotion and that good work will be discovered and will get noticed and so on. And it's demonstrably not true. I mean, that is just not true. And I know it's not true. Intellectually, I know it's not true. Emotionally, the idea of standing up and saying, hey, everybody, you need to read this thing by me, and I'm looking around being like, I've got like Lazarus stacks here because of what I'm working on, right?
Yeah.
And going out there and saying, here's the thing, I did the thing.
Hmm.
See the thing I did? I get wildly uncomfortable doing that. I
Yeah.
cannot help it.
Yeah.
Um, it's much easier for me to turn and say, look at the thing they did, right? Like, pre-orders on the Compass trade are
Right. I
out
saw
there.
that you were posting
And
those.
I've got to post another one about it because people need to pre-order that book because it's a good book.
Hmm.
I believe in that book.
Hmm.
My participation in that book is such that I do not feel I am blowing my own horn. I feel like I am
Right.
trumpeting other people.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and I suppose there is, I suppose there is some unpacking I could do there, with a therapist or others who would say, why is this so difficult for you?
Hmm.
Um, and I suppose even you could make the argument that by not doing it, I hurt myself,
Hmm.
you know. And I think I've mentioned before to you, right? I know, for instance, Compass was hurt by the fact that I did not promote it on Twitter.
Hmm. Hmm.
So people didn't know about the book,
Right.
right? Um, Lazarus really needs, when the next issue comes out, it's going to need some attention that it's coming out, otherwise, because our publishing schedule is so irregular,
Yeah.
people will be like, oh, it came out, I missed it, you know.
Hmm.
um I found and again via Instagram, somebody saying, oh yeah, Black Magic was canceled, and I was like, no, no, it's not, it's not, it's not canceled. It's Nick is working on Historia with Kelly Sue,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and and one of these things could wait, and one of them couldn't, and it was Black Magic, so that's fine, right? But um and yeah, like I say, and then that feeds into the whole, like, you don't exist right now, you don't have anything out there. So
I know, but the problem too, especially when you're working on things like film, is it's like a year
hello.
later, or 2 years later, or even longer sometimes. And depending on post production and scheduling and all of that,
But
like you
all
don't get to
goes
see it.
well. I mean, if
Yeah.
all goes well, Old Guard 2 won't be out until summer of 2023, and that's my guess.
Right, right, right.
Right? I cannot, you know,
Yeah. Lots of
that's
things
if
out of
everything
control,
goes well.
especially with how COVID shut things down and production
Yeah.
schedules and challenges and location, travel, all of it
Yep.
is so highly affected by the world. But I know, but I don't actually see this as a flaw. And I get it. It does hurt yourself in terms of if you're not willing to be self promotional enough to just at least feel the confidence to like put your stuff out and feel comfortable with that. Cause
Mhm.
as much as I feel like I do it, I am very uncomfortable with it as well. And I feel like if I did it in a way that I have seen others and, who have like the million followers, which I just refuse to do, right? It just,
Mhm.
um, I would be the same, right? I would be a little bit more out there. I would be a little bit
Mhm.
more known in that regard. And I don't take to it. I'm very similar to you in that way, and I get it. But that's why maybe I'm saying that I don't see it as a flaw because I don't want to say it as a
Yeah,
flaw. No,
exactly. I don't want to see
no,
the
no,
flaw.
we're fine. We're
Right.
completely
Yeah.
fine.
No,
Everyone
it's
else is the
good.
problem.
It
No, but
it
I'm
may
just
simply
saying
be
it's
an
okay
issue
that
of
you're modest.
personality,
Yeah,
you
I think
know.
it's okay to be modest, but I think also there might be a way that you can promote your material that's more like your excitement and your pride in like having completed it and being happy about it versus like, hey, look at me, I'm amazing, look what I've done. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think anything you put out would ever come across that way. And so I think, and that's the fear, right, is to be so self-promotional. But like my
I'm
father is really good at promoting himself. I am
yeah.
like kind of the direct opposite of it.
Yeah.
And so I've seen that, right? And everyone loves him. And he's like, he'll tell everyone, hey, I'm a Kung Fu master. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
well, I barely tell people what I do.
Right.
So,
What does
so
Sifu mean?
right.
It's just teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I get this. I get this conversation but you're right, but then it's like, you do want to feel that like kind of pride and appreciation for something you've put so much of your heart and soul into and
Mhm.
work, right? Because it's not like you do something half-assed. Like I know you. You sit there and you will,
Well,
lose
we
sleep
all
over
we all want our hard work recognized.
yeah.
You know, I mean, there's yeah, I mean, if we put in the hours, we would like somebody to turn around and say, "Hey, good job." You know.
Yes, yes.
So I don't yeah. I mean, these aren't things that are keeping me up at night.
Of course not.
Right.
No, but
But
but it's the whole social media thing, how you and I kind of shy away from it, and then you
yeah.
see like Kelly Sue and Gail, and they're just like, it seems so natural and easy, and
Well, and how people use it and to what ends um is the other thing. Like I'm very, very, very suspicious of a lot of how to put this. Well, these are companion things, right? Because if you are promoting yourself, you are selling something, right? You are selling yourself. And that's I think where that's the wall I hit. I don't want to sell myself. I want to sell the work,
Mhm.
right? I want to sell the work. The work has merit. That's what I want people to go to, right? I don't want them going to I'm not looking for a cult of personality around me.
Mhm, mhm.
There are a lot of creators who are not selling their work, they're selling themselves.
Right.
And their work is really bad. And they get a pass because they've done a really good job selling themselves.
Mhm, mhm.
And I am And I guess that is the argument right there. That's my point, right? Is that for me, I am more interested in the quality of the work than I am in the personality promoting it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
it's such a
and I mean, that's kind of and this is why Historia is perfect, right? Because it's brilliant work. And is going to stand the test of time. And it certainly Phil's work of his career on this. So yeah. It's interesting. I clearly have a lot more thinking to do on this. So.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you think with me out loud. I appreciate that. Well, it's funny. I had reached out to Kelly Sue, like 6 months ago or something. She's like, I'm super busy right now. And now I'm like,
she is
oh,
insanely busy.
I see. I said, no worries, no pressure. Anytime, I'm always here. And now I'm like, oh, okay. And I know she's got a lot of other things going on as well.
Yeah,
so,
she's been working on something for 18 months now, at least. That's enormous and like not a word about. And that's not counting at least 3 other things that I'm aware of. And I don't see her often. Right. Like, it's not as if I know what she's working on. So, yeah. And then, everything else in their lives, that they sleep at all still kind of boggles my mind. So.
I know.
Now, I don't have an excuse why I'm not getting more work done. The kids aren't here. Jen and I, it's just Jen and me and the dog. You would think I would be pounding out pages, and yet
that's not how it works, as you and I know. We've talked about it. It doesn't necessarily mean just because, like,
I have been trying so hard to get some serious work done. I think I'm going to be pulling another long night tonight, because it is honestly that this is one of the things that Bendis, one of his work habits, right, is he just writes at night. He starts at night, and I do think that is a huge factor in his productivity.
Well, he's got all those kids there too, though, so that silence is
necessary. But he was doing that even before he had the kids, right?
Okay.
And his conviction and the honoring of that schedule is something that clearly has served him very well. And there is a piece of me that's like, there have been periods when if I get to work at 10 at night and I knock off at 4 in the morning, I can be I am staggeringly productive. But the problem with that is that I don't see my family. Right. And right now I'm sort of at this point where it's like, yeah, maybe I need to start going back to working nights a bit, because there's always so much stuff during the day. And I really need some time just to write.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah. Well.
It's always happy when you're writing for us, because we're just waiting for your pages. But what you mentioned earlier with that whole conundrum of the promotion and everything, I can't remember. I don't know. Maybe the book is even called 1,000 True Fans, but in marketing and business and everything, like the whole thing of it is, if you actually have only 1,000 true fans, they will sustain like your work. Maybe in the comic industry you need a little bit more, but like essentially like true fans, meaning they're on Bonfire, they are on, and they are waiting for that issue regardless of when it comes out, and that kind of thing. And there's a lot more businessy things to that, but I think there is something to be said for a lot of people who have like 1 million followers and someone who only has 12,000, but those 12,000 are like true fans, right? And so I actually do believe like your fans are true fans in that regard, because they're just so diehard. And I've come across a lot of them now.
They do self-select. I will.
I mean, I've met some of them through the Discord, but also they've joined at Patreon because of you, essentially, because I've got, the Mimi and Greg show, or the Mimi and Greg special. I love that. I might have to change it to that, just because, I mean, those are what you call true fans.
That's what we should do. We should do a t-shirt.
We should.
You do a t-shirt, put it on Bonfire. We'll figure out what we're going to fund. So,
oh yeah, there's tons of things that you and I are all about funding. I'm all about
really,
that.
huh? Yeah, no,
so
we could come up
many,
with something.
so many things. Yeah, so many things. Oh my gosh, that'd be so cool. Well, you're the one that knows all the artists, so
Yeah, I can think of a few.
you know, guy or
Yeah,
girl, you know a few.
I knew a few.
Oh my gosh. No, it is exciting though. And like even just talking to Spencer Ackerman, right? Like he's like, hey man, whenever that comes out, I'm reading it. So I mean, that's kind of how it's been. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun engaging with your fans and being able to at least see and like kind of get inside the minds and everything, being watching on the Discord and stuff.
It's weird because I can't. We're having a very strange discussion today.
I don't know if it's that strange in comparison.
yeah, to all the others. I don't. How to put this? I'm always surprised that there are fans.
This is insane. Like you just
no, I know, and I've
years
had
of writing,
I've had
Eisner Award winning Greg Rucka.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I do get it that there is actual factual evidence to disprove the assertion. I do get it. I don't know why. But
because you're like a really, really good writer.
No, I mean, okay, so no, because that isn't for me to say, right? I'm not saying why are there fans,
right? Okay.
I mean, there are fans. I accept there are fans. I accept there are people who really like my work. Okay, I will accept it. I just don't believe it. If the distinction is clear.
Okay.
And it may simply be that for me to do what I do. Here's an example. I was asked, back in the days when I was writing Batman, I was like, wow, when you sit down and you're writing an issue of Detective, are you thinking about, this is what the fans are going to think? And I was like, no. Why would I? How can you write like that? Right? I mean, how can you? Well, I mean, we know there are lots of people who write exactly that way. That is the only thing they are writing for. I am writing this thing so the fans will go crazy over it. Every decision I am making is a fan service decision. And it works. Right? It clearly works. I have never, ever, 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 ever been able to do that. And I don't understand it. That's not the job to me. And maybe it's simply having come from novels, which is such an isolating experience, because ultimately you're only ever writing for yourself. If you're writing a novel, the only person will read it is you. That's the only guarantee. There is no guarantee anybody else will ever read it, right? So when you are writing a novel and then you put it out into the world, you still don't know if anybody's ever going to read it. So you can't be writing it going, they're going to love this, right? You're writing it because you're going, this is the story I am telling. And that is, I mean, it's not, now that is not mutually exclusive to the idea that an audience will read it and will react to it. But that's for after. That's not for the creation. Right? That's not what the creation is about. The creation is about telling the story you need in that moment to tell, to say the things you feel you need to say. And then you put it out in the world and you hope people will accept it. But if they don't, God, this is going to sound so pompous. It strikes me as you are compromising the work to service the desires of an audience that you can never know the true desire of. And well, if you're going to do that, then all you're doing is you're just chasing somebody else. And okay, well, then why try to write an original story? I mean, yeah, that went weird. I'm sorry, Mimi. I can see you being like,
no, this actually,
I'm losing him.
Is crazy. Maybe me being a podcaster, but this ties into our last conversation, one, and also ties back into your feelings on self-promotion, right? And so I think, though, your process is your process, right? So it's like there's different dancers and they do dance in their own way, and they can't understand how someone would do this or that, and they would do it that way, right? So I don't think there's a question of like how, but when we dissected bird by bird and I asked you a bunch of questions as a, one day I may write something kind of person, and it was learning from this book and getting those principles. I mean, one of the big things that she says is like, don't save your good ideas, and you just need to write, right? And you write for yourself, like you write for you. Otherwise, like, it's not that it's not worthwhile, but that's your audience. Like, you need to just kind of start there. And that was kind of one of the fundamental things. So, so it actually does tie back into like that whole conversation we had on process, which is like, oh, I'm going to save this because this is going to be something the audience is going to like when I come out with, this thing, and I'm going to write it for them. Like, no, if you have something to write and it's for you and you need to get it out and you want to put it on the page, you should do it, right? And just do it. And that's it. Just write is.
I think you're absolutely right. and now I'm thinking about the fact that the thing that I wrote last night, which I had to start twice, and was an internal document, not for publication, right? It was literally, here are questions. I don't think this is a violation of any NDA or anything like that. We got notes from Netflix on the script. You always get notes. Sent them answers. They have sent follow-ups. So I was sitting down and I was writing, oh, these are the questions that came out of that. These are the answers. And the first time they had sent these questions, it was like, oh, here's bullet points of how I'm answering. This one, I started writing a letter, and it's incredible. And the first version of it, I was like, oh, I'm writing something else. That's going to be a different document. I'm going to save that and go back to that. Let me go back and try this again. And literally when I broke last night, when it opened, it was when I was like, okay, here we go. And it was literally me approaching the document as a, take my hand and come with me into the tall grass as I answer your questions. And it was a stylistic choice, right? But the second I embraced it, it was like, oh, this wrote quick and easy and so on. I am in this very strange place right now where I have, for the first time in a while, a burning desire to write a novel. I have a burning desire to write a Bible for a TV series that just doesn't even exist. I mean, it just doesn't exist, but it's like, I want to write up these bios about these characters and what this series would be. I have no idea who I'm going to send it to, but there you go. And I finally have like these 2 issues of different comics where it's like, I can see the way through.
Okay.
And Now I just need the time to actually do the writing. Like,
all right, we're gonna hang up right now. So you can write.
There's a piece of me that's like,
time.
there is a piece of me that's like, so I have to go shortly, Mimi. I got to.
Yeah,
type.
you've got an idea. I can see it. You're like, oh my God, we gotta go. I'm like, hey,
Well, and it's been,
I don't want to hold you back.
It maybe it's finally coming out of, because I do think, you know, so much of writing is about discipline, and any endeavor is about discipline. You put your ass in the chair and you do it. Mm-hmm. Right. And you don't sit there and wait until you're inspired. You put your ass in your chair and you do it. This is why Bendis delivers the insane output he delivers, because he does it every goddamn night.
Yes, he's very disciplined.
Right? Yeah. And if you are that disciplined, you definitionally are going to get better at what you're doing simply through experience. If you are applying any critical mind to the work, then you are learning from your mistakes, right? So if you do it enough, like there's an old joke about how do you learn to draw, and it's like you buy a 6-foot tall stack of newsprint and you draw on the front and back of every single piece of that newsprint, and you cover it all. And by the time you finish, you'll know how to draw. I firmly believe that I learned how to write because I wrote a 300,000 word novel when I was in college, and nobody needs to read a 300,000 word novel. Nobody does. It wasn't War and Peace, right? But of those 300,000 words, I got 3,000 of them in the right order. You know, they were the right words in the right order. And I saw this one yesterday, you know, it was a Stephen King quote of saying, don't worry about, you know, don't write it good, write it, then make it good. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And all of these things are true. You've got to do it. The hardest challenge in our lives is finding the windows we can do it. So
yes, I love that. No, I think this does all tie in, because it's the discipline to do the work, just doing the work, and then after that being okay with, all right, where am I at, and then refining that. But it is the discipline to get started, like anything else. People are like, oh, how do you do kung fu all the time? Well, you got to show up, and then from there, that's when you get better. So it's kind of interesting, like that word discipline applies to pretty much anything if you want to be successful. Whatever.
Well, hi Sifu. How did you get where you are today? Was it by only doing it once or twice a week for an hour? No.
Yeah.
You know. Mm-hmm. And the ability to love the hard work is the, you know, that's the hurdle. Mm-hmm. I really do believe, certainly, and I see this in a lot in writers, and I think we've spoken about this before, there comes a point in the writing, and I think this probably applies to every artistic career, where the thing that you were doing for fun, that you got joy out of, I love drawing or whatnot, and you hit that point where it was like, okay, now you've got to, now it's hard. Like you have hit, you hit a plateau. And if you want to get to the next stage, you have to put in the hours. And that means you've got to take the risks, and you've got to fail, and you've got to try, and you've got to deal with and there is a moment where the thing that was fun and gave you joy isn't fun and does not give you joy. And learning to love that part of it as well is instrumental in continuing to advance. If you don't do that, if you only ever stay where it was comfortable, you're never going to get better. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. Well, on that note, I'm going
to
get to writing.
On that note, everybody go get uncomfortable.
I think it's true. And I say that all the time on this show. I'm like, this is uncomfortable to talk about. We should totally be talking about it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Because that's how we get through something and move forward. So,
and how we learn.
exactly how we learn. So, and thank you, because I'm always learning whenever
you're welcome. Are you so tell me about the holiday schedule here. Are you taking a couple weeks off? What's going to go on?
I hope so.
Okay.
I hope so. So yes, we will. The podcast wise, I usually kind of take a couple weeks, but I like to try to get ahead and get some recordings done. So I'm ready to go. But I probably will do, like, the last 2 weeks. I usually do like kind of a re-air of something that's kind of relevant for the time. And then and then it's Chinese New Year planning for me already. So
I've seen some. So
yes. So we're getting prepped for that. It's
really I would love to actually come for a celebration one year.
Oh my gosh. That would be amazing.
That would be such a delight for me. So I don't think 2022 is going to be
the year
in our calendar year, the year we can do it, but maybe the following.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
I would love that.
We celebrate every year, so
it's funny. I mean, New Year's comes around once a year.
It's lunar, so it's never the same time.
Oh, trust me, says the guy who, whose birthday was the second night of Hanukkah.
Yes.
This year.
And happy Hanukkah, of course.
Yeah, thank you.
I saw all the candles. I'm following.
Yeah, I'm documenting.
Very nice. Yes, very nice. It helps me learn. So, all right. Well, have a lovely one, and I'll talk to you before the end of the year. But if not, we'll text. But
no, we will. Yeah, we may not do this again, but we will definitely talk.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Say hi to Jen.
I will give my best to Oscar and to the whole family.
Will do. All right. Until next time with Greg Rucka, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to the Sifu Mimi Chan Show. Please subscribe and rate my podcast on your platform of choice and leave a review. You can become a patron of the show at patreon.com/Sifu Mimi Chan to help keep this podcast going. Follow me and interact on social media at Sifu Mimi Chan on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.